Yep.
Hey, welcome everyone back to episode 21 of Kids Deserve It. We hope you've been enjoying our weekly chats with educators and game changers from around the country. If you didn't know, we're on iTunes. You can subscribe to our podcast there, listen to it on the train, listen to it on the way to work, and plug into Kids Deserve It. This week, we got another great guest. But first, I'd like to introduce ourselves. I'm Adam Welcome, elementary school principal from Danville, California.
I'm Todd Nesloni, elementary school principal from Navasota, Texas. But it's funny because Adam forgot to add one thing in his title. Just so all of our viewers know, Adam was just recently named a 20 to watch in education for across the country. So he needs to be saying that, of course, when he introduces himself. So I'll say it since he won't. But our guest today is, Ryan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Ryan Devlin, and I teach high school English in Pennsylvania, Brockway.
Well, we want to remind all of our viewers to participate in the chat along the side, as well as the chat that happens on Twitter every day using the hashtag #KidsDeserveIt. And thank you, everyone, for watching our last 20 episodes. We're excited to have all the viewers that we have every week.
So, Ryan, we got some questions for you. For those that don't know who you are, tell us about yourself.
Well, I've been teaching for the last 9 years, and I've been teaching primarily high school English, but I also do some technology electives. I teach a multimedia course. I've taught digital media in the class. I've done public speaking as well. But last year I had a really interesting year because I took a sabbatical and I went over to Australia, and I taught at an international school where I had kids in my classroom from 14 different countries. And I've been teaching 11th grade all my life. But last year I had the opportunity to teach second grade, which was a really fun change of pace.
Nice.
And I've just gotten back to the States actually a couple months ago.
Sweet.
So talk to us about Australia. How did that even come about?
Well, I went to NASA Space Camp about 2 summers ago, and they had these award-winning educators from all across the world. And I got to be really good friends with the Australian Principal of the Year. Her name was Kate Smith. And I was talking to her, and I said, I've always wanted to come to Australia. And she's like, you need to come visit. And as we were talking, we kicked around some ideas, and this idea of me coming over and teaching there for a year came up. And I thought, wow, what an interesting way that would be to actually see Australia, not just to go over and tour and to do all the touristy things, but to actually live there and work there and really get to experience what Australia is all about.
So what were some of the biggest differences that you saw?
Well, I guess the biggest thing was there were times when I would pinch myself just to think, oh my gosh, I'm on the other side of the world. Like when I was walking to work and a kangaroo literally one morning like jumped out in front of me.
Oh my gosh.
That was one of those mornings where I was like, oh, I know I'm not in America anymore. But, I got kind of used to it the more I was there, but the accents and some of the food, and then just living in the capital, which is called Canberra, I was in a really, really unique school because we had kids in our school from 55 different countries.
Wow.
And sometimes it felt like it was the United Nations in the morning when you were watching parents drop off their kids because you would see all these different dresses. And when kids would pack their lunch and you would see what they'd pack for lunch, you'd be like, oh my goodness, like I wish my mom made me sushi rolls for lunch. And that in itself was just really unique because I got to experience so many different cultures last year that I hadn't been exposed to living and working in rural Pennsylvania.
Okay, so I've traveled a ton, Ryan, and I've always thought that my traveling abroad has really made me a better educator. Do you feel like that now, having all the access to all those different cultures and languages and just differences, is that going to change your viewpoint now that you're back in the States full time? Yeah,
definitely. I think one of the things that's rough for some of my students in rural Pennsylvania is they haven't been exposed to different cultures, different religions. And as I've been selecting curriculum and different things that we've been writing about, I've been really trying to think more with a global mindset of, what kind of text or what kind of writing assignments can I create that'll get kids to be thinking about these people in other countries? Because I guess my eyes were opened quite a bit last year when I got my list of students and I was learning about all these different countries. And I was thinking to myself, wow, there's so much going on in the world that I haven't necessarily dealt with before that I was learning quite a bit about. And I hope to kind of bring that back to the States where I'm teaching now and create more of a global curriculum.
Now, when you were there, you also worked at a year-round school. And was that your first experience working on a year-round calendar?
Yeah, the weather in Australia makes it ideal, but I really loved it. We went to school for 10 weeks. We had 2 weeks off, 10 weeks, 2 weeks off, 10 weeks, 2 weeks off. And then our summer vacation falls over Christmas break, which was 6 weeks. And I actually really enjoyed that schedule because I felt like, you were always in the schoolwork, but yet you had enough breaks that allowed you to kind of refresh yourself, and you didn't have that big, long summer break where everybody kind of gets out of school mode to some degree. And I thought it was really beneficial for both the teachers and the students.
Awesome.
What do you see as the biggest difference between elementary and teaching secondary?
There's a lot. I would say, I guess what I wasn't used to as an 11th grade teacher was my kids were just so in love with school. They were writing me notes about how much they loved my classroom and drawing me pictures. And, you know, Friday would roll around and I would ask them if they were excited for the weekend, and they weren't, because they wanted to come to school the next day. So to have that kind of atmosphere where people were just so excited about school, for me, that was really, really exciting. But the other part that was also really different was learning how to teach all those subjects all day long. I have always been focused on teaching for 40-minute periods, and you plan a solid lesson and you get everything done. But I feel like it's a total game changer when you have these kids all day long and you're teaching them all the different subjects. And I thought, I've always differentiated my curriculum in the high school, but being at that elementary level, I found that you have to differentiate so much more because kids are on so many different levels, which was different for me. And I was kind of bragging, you know, before I went to Australia that I had the paperless classroom and that everything was done on computers. And I got it to Australia teaching second grade, and I felt guilty every time I was at the photocopier. But the number of hands-on things and so forth that you use was a lot different as well.
Sweet.
So if you had one wish for education, Ryan, what would that wish be?
One wish. I guess the biggest thing that I would hope is that kids get into an environment where they're able to study and learn what it is that they're passionate about, and that they're able to personalize their education a bit more.
All right. What makes you love going to work every day? I mean, besides the kids, like, what gets you pumped?
You know, I've always loved learning. That's why I went into become a teacher. I had a first grade teacher who made me love coming to school every day. Her name was Miss Workey, and she was just so enthusiastic about learning, and it was so fun to be in her class. Even in first grade, I knew, like, oh, I want to be a teacher. And, you know, I do love going to work every day just to spend time with the students, but I also just love the things that we learn about and the things that we get to talk about. And I guess as the students are learning, I'm continually growing as well. And I love the challenge that it brings. I love that every year I can try something new. No 2 days are the same. And it's the only profession I've ever really wanted to do.
Nice.
So what is something that you've done that you consider to be pretty innovative and that you're really proud of doing?
I guess in my school a couple years ago, one of the things that I started to do that was a bit different was getting into this paperless classroom. When I first came to my school district in 2007, everyone was using textbooks. And we got this great grant that was called Classrooms for the Future that enabled me to have laptops in all my classes that I used. And for me, it was just a big thing to really create my own curriculum. As I was taking my master's classes and learning about what good assessment is and getting into skill-based learning rather than content-based teaching, I was really able to just have a lot of fun with creating my own curriculum and creating resources and things using Moodle so that we didn't have to use the textbook at all or any worksheets. And that's when I saw that kids were getting really excited to come to my class because it was different than what they were getting into in their other classes. And there was opportunities for them to personalize their learning. We did a lot of projects, and I really tried to set up my class those bright colors. I put up functions. I got bean bags, and, you know, sitting in groups, they were collaborating. They were using all kinds of technology. And, you know, that's becoming more the norm now in a lot of classrooms to have this project-based learning and lots of technology. But I felt like I was one of the first people to do it, and I saw the benefits right away, which is something that I've been really passionate about.
Ryan, talk to us about meeting the president. We want to hear that story.
Yeah, well, I had the opportunity back in 2014 as a finalist for National Teacher of the Year to go to the White House. And as I was getting ready to meet him, he was greeting all the educators, and I kind of saw him, and I got a little bit starstruck for a second. But when he shook my hand and he talked to me for a bit, he was really friendly. I kind of remember just kind of looking at him in the face going, wow, this is the president of the United States. He's so many pictures of him and him on TV, but it was really exciting to see him. And he is very, very passionate about the teaching profession. He cares a lot about the work that we do. And I thought he was a very genuine person.
Sweet.
So is it one of those moments that you actually remember it, or it's kind of like you had to look at pictures to help you remember it kind of thing? Because I remember when I met him, it was kind of like I didn't remember any of it. I had to have, thank goodness, I had other people there who could be like, no, this happened, and you have pictures to prove it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It is kind of a blur. And even when I look back, I generally have the same smile on all of my pictures. But my picture with the president, I have this like awkward, nervous smile on my face. So it was a great memory. It definitely was a blur.
That's awesome.
All right, Ryan. So, every week we like our guests. Sorry,
we have one more question.
Oh, I thought you skipped it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, Ryan, who is somebody that inspires you or challenges you to be better?
I think I'm inspired by a lot of things that are around me. Oftentimes, I guess where I've been turning to is looking at biographies. Throughout the years, I love picking up a memoir or biography about someone famous. And at different points in times, I always feel that those people become my mentors, depending on whose biography I'm reading that month, to learn how they got to where they are. Last year I was really big into Steve Jobs and Mother Teresa, and I was reading a lot about their work. And Mother Teresa was one that I've been learning a lot, especially now that she just became a saint, and learning how she became so selfless and really admiring that about her. But I guess lately the biography of the month is Oprah. I've been reading a bit about her and how she got to become so famous and how she is who she is. But it's pretty much a different biography, whoever I have my hands on at that time.
Very nice. So, Ryan, every week we like our guests to leave a challenge for our viewers. What's your challenge for the week?
So I was teaching the same subject in the same school for the last 9 years. And my challenge would be for you to find some way that you can break out from what you've been doing to try something completely different, whether it be in the classroom or outside of the classroom, because I felt like I grew as an educator a lot while I was teaching second grade in Australia. And it caused me to just think about so many different things that I'd never thought about before. So I would like to encourage people to take a look at your daily routine, maybe the one that you've been doing year after year after year, and think about a way that you could try something new so that you can see things from a different perspective and grow and learn from there.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for coming on our show today, and we really appreciate you giving us some of your time, especially on a Saturday.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me be a part of it.
So,
yep. We want to remind our viewers to continually tweeting out all the great stuff you're doing in your own classrooms and how you are completing Ryan's challenge using the hashtag Kids Deserve It, as well as tagging our account at Kids Deserve It so we can share out the awesome stuff you're doing as well. And Adam, you had something to announce too, right?
One more announcement. So we just finished our second t-shirt and sweatshirt drive. The pink t-shirts and blue sweatshirts shipped, I think, this last week, so they should be arriving soon. And like we said before, all proceeds from the t-shirt and sweatshirt sales, we are donating back to education charities. And we are so excited to announce that we have $3,093.07 to donate to Donors Choose grants. Todd and I are currently looking at grants, and we have the money. We're going to start funding them maybe today. So stay tuned for some fun Instagram videos, maybe a little video of us funding grants. And stay tuned the first week of April for our next t-shirt drive as well. And people message us all the time, when are you going to sell more shirts? You just got to keep tuning in to Kids Deserve It. So have a great weekend, everybody.